Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of AEW Dynamite for October 21st, 2020. As you can see, I am once again back by popular demand, being joined by good old JM, Jeff Meacham. Jeff, how are you doing this evening?
And by popular demand, he means Jeff begged to be on because he's bored of tears. Just saying.
It's always good to have good old JM on the live streams. Shout out to everybody in the chat room for tuning in. We appreciate your viewership and support. And Jeff, you did catch a little bit of NXT, right?
I caught enough of it to know that I'm very upset that somebody's back.
All right, well, we'll talk about that at the end of the video. We'll go ahead and get through AEW first. And by the way, since I'm doing this on Ecamm Live, if you guys send in your thoughts as we go along with the recap, I will put them up on the video screen. So check that out and send in your thoughts. Let's go ahead and talk about Dynamite. The tournament took place, the first round on this show, to determine who will be the number one contender for the World Championship after Full Gear. Our first match was Jungle Boy versus Wardlow. Jungle Boy put up a pretty good fight here, but it was your standard big man versus little man match, and Wardlow dominated most of it. Jungle Boy did make a bit of a comeback, but in the end, Wardlow picked up the victory with a move that he calls the F10, which is like a super F5 where he just keeps rotating around, and Jungle Boy went way up in the air for that. Obviously, he cannot do that move with every single person that he's in the ring with. Jungle Boy's a relatively small man, but it did look pretty cool. So, Jeff, your thoughts on this match and Wardlow winning?
The common thread on Twitter was your thoughts on the F10. I'm going, when you make Brock Lesnar look less dangerous in the ring, you got to reevaluate your process, because that looks scary. Like, and granted, Jack's not a huge guy, but he was flying like Mysterio height in the lawn darting. It was scary. But it was so funny. Dylan came in during that match, and who's that? I said, that's Jack Perry. Dylan, Luke Perry's son. Who's Luke Perry? I went, oh, okay, you're so uneducated, child. I like the match. You're not gonna have Wardlow job out round one. So it was kind of guaranteed who was going to win. So we just kind of went through it. Jack got his ass kicked, and off we went. So
and plus, if you look at the brackets and make your predictions, it was pretty obvious how it was going to go with this one. Pretty much how the whole first round was going to go. I mean, it's pretty much a given how the whole thing's going to play out.
Well, it was funny. People were, griping about the next match. We'll get to in a second with Kenny and Sonny. It's why did Sonny drop so bad? It's like Kenny was going to win anyway.
Yeah.
So
I guess since that match was pretty much after this one, I mean, there were a few other segments, but we'll talk about that real quick. Yeah, Kenny Omega squashed Sonny Kiss, which I'm totally fine with. I know it's a bit
I am too.
Controversial with some people because they want to see Sonny Kiss getting pushed and whatnot, but I mean, I think with Kenny Omega, we all knew he was going to win, so you might as well make it decisive and build up Kenny. I know people like the long-winded 15-minute matches. I was totally fine with this. Kenny just beating him. Literally two moves, V-Trigger and the One-Winged Angel, made short work of him. I was totally fine with it.
So was I. I mean, I have said for a year or however long it's been now, they need to pull the V-Trigger on Kenny Omega and to send him to the front of the line and have him, at least contend for, if not win, the world title.
Now, he had a hell of an entrance. They went all out for the entrance.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I got to ask you, what were your thoughts?
I understood that reference.
What were your thoughts on the Dave Meltzer reference that Omega has broken the Dave Meltzer 5-star scale like 7 times?
In the glorious words of Brucey, FDM. There we go.
Oh, that's all Jeff has to say about that.
Always about Mr. Meltzer. Always, yes.
Yeah, as Kevin said in the chat room, not every wrestler signed to AEW needs to look like a star. Some guys are going to be enhancement talent putting over other people.
Right. That's been the byproduct of the Monday Night Wars. We lost the shows that are enhancement talent shows, like the Superstars and Challenge back in the day, where you'd have the big star come in and whoop the local talent's butt. Where you're going to have guys that are signed, big stars, they're big TV stars, but they're still going to get their ass whooped every once in a while. It's just the nature of the beast.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, during Omega's entrance, he was also referenced as the Wrestling Observer's Wrestler of the Year in 2018.
Well, bally for him. And they even, I love how they reference Meltzer and they reference Pro Wrestling Illustrated. It's like, wow, are we just like kayfabe at that night or what, kids?
Yeah, what about No DQ? Where's the love for No DQ?
Have we given him an award?
Well, no. Maybe we have to.
Okay, then. There you go.
Kenny Omega needs to win every award in the 2020 NoDQ.com year-end awards so we can maybe one day get a reference by AEW.
Well, in the words of Captain Planet on TBS, No DQ Galaxy, the power is yours. Vote for Kenny Omega. All
right, so back to Wardlow real quick. JR mentioned on commentary, he said, athletic men sell tickets. Big athletic men sell tickets, and he's right.
Yeah, and he signed most of them, so you should know that. So,
well, back in the day he did, and he would not.
That's what I'm saying. He signed a whole freaking roster of guys that athletic big men, back in the WWF days. So he knows what he's talking about. So,
all right, we had footage shown from the end of last week's Dynamite after the show went off the air. Eddie Kingston cut this very intense promo on Jon Moxley, talked about how Moxley sold out and how Moxley went to this entertainment company to make millions of dollars and got his beautiful wife, while Eddie was left behind. They were friends back in the day, but Moxley went to the big league and Eddie was stuck on the indies because he loves the sport of pro wrestling. And he told Moxley to open his goddamn eyes and look at that championship while he can, because Eddie's going to take it for him and he's going to make Moxley quit pro wrestling. And this led to a video package with Moxley saying he doesn't know who Eddie is anymore, and he called Eddie bitter, said that Eddie thinks the world owes him everything, and Moxley said he's not going to apologize for working hard over the years to provide for his family, and he said at Full Gear for the AEW World title it will be an I Quit match, and Moxley said he will either get his friend back or he will end him. So, Jeff, what are your thoughts on Moxley facing Eddie Kingston for the championship, first of all, and what do you think of the stipulation?
Well, I'm not sure if I said it publicly when I said it. It may have been in the private chat, but I was rather hard on Eddie when they brought him into the NWA and then AEW, because I had worked with Eddie in the past and I wasn't very fond of his demeanor, and I am a big enough man, obviously, to admit that I'm wrong. Eddie has really impressed me with the NWA stuff and with his work in AEW, and he really makes me believe that he is this embittered person toward his friend Jon Moxley, who is, kind of gone on to greener and greener pastures for a number of years, working for Vince, obviously, and now he's, come back to his roots, if you will, being the grassroots guy, the champion of the plucky underdog, if you will. And I like the matchup. I like the feud, and I do love the stipulation, because Eddie, I know for a fact Eddie's not quit. He does not quit. He either wins or he gets beat down so bad he just can't do anymore. But he has not quit. And we all know Jon Moxley is no quitter. So I look forward to the match. I do find it kind of funny that his former Shield stablemate is also having an I Quit match this weekend. So,
well, I do think that it's a nice stipulation. I'm not really sold on Eddie Kingston challenging for the world title on a pay-per-view, but his promo work has been so solid that I'm looking forward to it. And it does make me reflect on the past, and I think back to Steve Austin and Bret Hart, their I Quit match, and how Austin said he was never going to quit, and he never did. So we'll see what happens here. I'm definitely intrigued with the stipulation. I like that they added it.
Yeah, Eddie has made a career of doing exactly what you just said. You're not sold on it yet. He will make it a point to sell you on it come November 7th. We'll
see what happens. Should be an interesting match. I definitely think the stipulation will will draw more attention to it and make people give it some serious thought and take it serious,
By the way, side note before we move on to the next thing, during Wrestling Rewind this afternoon, during the technological train wreck that it was, somebody was asking about future Rewind episodes. We were talking about we were going to do the King of the Ring final next year from '96. It's the 20th anniversary. We talked about Steve Austin, the promo we cut, and they said, "What about the King of the Ring final between Bret and Steve Austin on Rewind?" I said, "They never did a King of the Ring." And they said, "The match where Austin passed out in blood." I said, "That's the WrestleMania 13 match," and Aaron Riff shames you for not knowing that.
Yeah, I mean,
that's his favorite match of all time there, Chris. It was Chris Cahill, for the record. So I was like, Aaron Riff shames you. Shame.
How does he not know that's a WrestleMania match?
I don't know. Like it was like it was an iconic shirt, for Christ's sakes. Like the blood from a stone. I wanted that shirt so bad. So anyway.
I mean, he might have just confused the Austin King of the Ring win with WrestleMania 13.
Maybe. And James, to answer your question, wait till the end of the season, and we'll work on getting you into the tournament.
All right. So back to AEW.
Yeah,
we had
sorry about that.
Orange Cassidy interviewed about his upcoming match with Cody Rhodes for the TNT title. That's on next week's show, and it's going to be a lumberjack match, by the way. Orange Cassidy really did not say much. I think he had like 2 words, and then we had Cody Rhodes arrive in a limousine and talked about how he has the champion's advantage. Orange Cassidy has to beat him, and Cody said he doesn't think he'll be able to get it done next week. Now, Jeff, what do you think about this lumberjack stipulation they're doing for next week?
I don't know. Like, I go back and forth. There are times where I like lumberjack matches because they, there's that, added mystique of, are lumberjacks going to, be one-sided? Are they going to do their job? Are they going to never? And then it's just like, it's just a way to get people on TV, and it's boring. And it's just like, just do something else.
Well,
and honestly, the latest lumberjack match I ever saw was Cactus Jack and Jimmy Snuka for the UWF, where they both got counted out. That was funnier than hell.
Yeah, I think it's being done so you can have all the shenanigans. It's funny because the whole idea of the match is to keep people from interfering, and I feel like this is just going to have a ton of interference, and it'll be a way for the loser to save face, and it's probably going to be Orange Cassidy losing, although you never know.
Well, it's like the segment said later. It's going to get hard for Cassidy to get over now because he had his moments in the sun, and now he's going back to middle of the card, kind of being the good little soldier, the gimmick attraction. So we'll see.
And it's just tough for him, I think, because there are no fans. If we had the arenas with fans, I think it would be a lot easier for Orange Cassidy to keep his momentum going. It's just tough now without an actual full-size crowd in the building.
Right, and let me be clear. I thought Cody's match with Cassidy was great last week. It was a really good match. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm getting more and more into Orange Cassidy. He's making me a believer. But at the end of the day, he had his great match with Jericho. The gimmick match was so funny. He had his moment with Cody. It's like, you don't honestly put the world title on him, so what do you do at this point?
Yeah, good question. Well, maybe he will get the TNT title. I mean, anything's possible, right?
Which I wouldn't have a problem with, except for the fact that Cody's making that, trying to like make it the same status as like, say, when RVD had the TV title, he was trying to make that the most important title of ECW. Cody's trying to do the same thing with the TNT title. So if Cassidy wins it, then he's akin to the world champion, and it's like, no.
We had more of Eddie Kingston. He said that he had to become bitter because he needed to do whatever it took to get the opportunities. He had to become a snake. And he said he has never quit anything in his life, and he will not quit at Full Gear. We talked about all that earlier. We had Pentagon versus Phoenix, and Eddie Kingston was out there on commentary to support his guys. Phoenix and Pentagon, they shook hands before the match, and the story was that they knew each other's moves, so they were able to counter each other. They exchanged some chops. They did a lot of flashy moves, especially Phoenix. We even saw Phoenix bust out a Spanish fly. Great match here between these two, as I expected. To me, this was the match of this little tournament that I was looking forward to the most, and I think it delivered. Right. It was a really fun match, back and forth with these guys. And in the end, it was Phoenix that picked up the win. Penta was on the verge of winning. He even said, "I'm sorry," and then went for his finisher, but then Phoenix countered him and hit his version of the Canadian Destroyer. And yes, the Canadian Destroyer actually finished the match. And Penta was a little bit frustrated, of course, as you would expect. But yeah, really good stuff here from these guys. Your thoughts on the match?
Well, I'd be frustrated too if I lost to a move that hasn't been a finish in 15 years. Sorry, Petey, but I don't think I ever saw Petey win with the story, even in PWG. I never saw it. But yeah, it was a great match. I have to admit ignorance with I am not familiar with these guys outside of AEW. I know they were in Impact and Lucha Underground. I'm just not familiar with a lot of their stuff, but I was impressed. I like both their styles. They had a great match. I love the story of the devolving of the relationship. They came in as brothers, and they walked out as very, very embittered toward each other. They were Pentagon's not a happy camper, so we'll see how it plays out going into round 2.
We had Colt Cabana with the Dark Order cutting a promo backstage to hype up their respective matches. The Dark Order guys, what are they? John Silver and Alex Reynolds, is that correct?
Sure.
Yeah, well, they were in the main event, the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match, and then Cabana had this match in this tournament against Hangman Adam Page. Evil Uno was out there, and Cabana put up a pretty good fight here against Page, but I mean, I figured this was an obvious win for Page, and sure enough, Page picked up the win, buckshot lariat. It was a standard match, not too much to really say about it. Jeff, your thoughts on Page's momentum, and you expecting a Page versus Omega final at the pay-per-view, or do you think we'll get a swerve?
I think if that's not the payoff, I'll be very curious to see what is. And as far as Colt, we've both watched Colt Cabana so many times over the years at different shows that we've been to with, PWG and the NWA and everything. And I like that Colt's kind of settled into his role of, being the 20. I can't believe he's a 20-year vet. That just blows my mind. But I guess it makes sense with him and Punk starting at the same time. So just being the guy to, help the talent along. I missed why he's like with the Dark Order.
Yeah.
Like, where did that come from? I didn't see that.
Doesn't even make sense because Colt's character doesn't seem like a guy that would be in the Dark Order.
Yeah, I mean, he's not really in. He's just kind of like palling around and like getting the rub on. I don't understand it. It's very bizarre.
Yeah.
So
we had a Team Taz promo, and Taz said he's yet to hear from Will Hobbs. They've been trying to recruit Will, but at this time, no response from Will. And then Taz talked about Darby Allin being in the TNT title match at the Full Gear pay-per-view. And apparently Ricky Starks was in line to get an opportunity, according to Toading Khan. This is what Taz said, that he had a meeting with Khan. And if Ricky had beaten Darby, he would have gotten a title shot, but he did not. And Ricky got on the mic and said Darby is going to pay. And he said that Darby's going to go in the grave. Like a face-painted little bitch. What's Dylan up to, by the way? Does he know we're live?
Dylan's trying to show me hockey gear when he knows I'm on the air.
Tell him Aaron's going to chew him out later if he doesn't.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, cool. All right. I don't know, Dylan. You're distracting me from work here.
Hockey gear.
Okay, I don't know. Okay, whatever. He got some weird-looking pants from his grandmother for a photo shoot.
With little spiky thingies and a half kilt, and it looks cute.
It does look cool, but it'll look cool when I can look at it off the air. As far as the Team Taz promo, I think Taz is just upset because people respond to him. Well, if he wouldn't block people, they would respond to him. I'm just throwing it out there. I like Ricky Starks. I've liked him for a while. I miss that he's in miss him in the NWA because he was great there as the TV champion. And I like Brian Cage. I like Brian Cage since he was with the NWA back in the old Marquez days. So I like the guys in Team Taz. I just don't like Taz.
Why don't you like Taz?
Because he blocked me for it was a reason, but it was a stupid reason.
I'm blocked by like half of the WWE roster.
Well, you know why, though. That's the difference.
Actually, I don't for a lot of them. I know for Zack Ryder and Kalisto.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what? I wish Zack would block me because I'm still mad at him for costing us our hair. Matt Cardona. Excuse me.
I'm gonna hold a grudge towards Matt Cardona, just like Bret Hart holds a grudge towards Bill Goldberg.
Well, Bret has a reason for Goldberg, to be fair.
That is true.
But you know what? I'm really hard on Bill Goldberg, but he was on the bump this morning. Giving Dallas Page a great message. I saw you posted about it on NoDQ. That was really cool of Bill to do that. So I'll give Bill his due today.
Fair enough. All right, so I'm curious to get your thoughts, and everybody in the chat room watching this live, leave your comments. I will post some of them here on the screen. The Chris Jericho and MJF dinner, their steak dinner. So first of all, MJF, he was not crazy about the wine. He ordered a well-done steak, and then Jericho ordered a little bit rarer steak. MJF went even rare. They went back and forth until Jericho ordered an extra bloody rare steak. And then Jericho talked about how next week they're going to have a town hall meeting with the inner circle to determine if MJF is worthy of going into the group. And Jericho said he doesn't even know if they should bother with it because the ratings ruler, it just doesn't really have a chance of getting over. It has about as much of a chance of getting over as Orange Cassidy. And they both said Orange Cassidy at the same time. And then all of a sudden, they broke into song. That's right. We had a duet like Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. They started doing this musical number, singing. I think they were taking shots at various wrestlers during the song. It was quite the spectacle. We had some women there. They were dancing, and it was something else. It was entertaining. It was something I was not expecting. So I will say, creativity-wise, I give them all the credit in the world. But yeah, I was a little bit not sure how to react at times other than, I guess this is entertaining. It was one of those things like, do you turn away or do you just embrace it? What do you do? Like, I wasn't sure if this was the greatest thing in the world or the worst thing in the world, but I was entertained by it. So I guess in that sense, it was a success. Jeff, what were your thoughts on the segment?
Well, first of all, Aaron will tell you when we signed on to Skype tonight, I was playing Judas by Fozzy because I was missing the song, because we didn't get to hear it tonight. So I was a sad panda. Funnier than hell. It shows why Chris Jericho has been Chris Jericho for the last 30 years and why he's continued to maintain his spot atop the kingdom of wrestling. He's a phenomenal performer, and I for one want to see an encore at some point with Max and Chris Jericho singing "You Are My Sunshine." That's what I want to see now.
There you go. Well, you have to send in your requests.
Well, I would text Rosie to give a reference, but I think she blocked me too. But I'm not sure about that, though. She may have blocked me. I don't know. But it was a great segment. It was a perfect way to have them be on the show without having them be at Daly's. It was so good. And what I liked a lot was no inner circle. And we didn't need it. It was a great show.
Yeah. Yeah, there were quite a few people not on this show. No Miro again. I think they showed a recap of last week, but yeah, nothing with him.
Well, I think what happened is they got wind we want more Miro, so they said, well, no DQ wants it. Ain't going to happen.
I'm kind of over Miro, to be quite honest with you.
Well, the thing is, Miro's presence is getting Lana's ass whooped every week, so that's not cool either. So, there's...
All right, so at 9:30 p.m., we had our women's match, our solo women's match of the evening, which seems to be a weekly thing now. I even said last week it seems like it's becoming a pattern, and sure enough, 9:30 we get the women's match. Britt Baker versus Kylan King, I think her name was. Britt hit a curb stop, and we even got a Super Dragon reference for this. Britt Baker picked up the win using a surgical glove. She put on the lockjaw, and basically just a match to showcase Britt. Any other thoughts you had on it?
I did like the Super Dragon reference. I mean, we didn't get along with Super Dragon very well, let's be honest, but the Excalibur's there, so you're going to hear it when a curb stop hits. You're going to hit a Dragon reference. And I just, it's like insider, hee chuckle. So,
all right. We had a Steve-O appearance. Yeah, that's right. Steve-O from Jackass with Darby Allin. And Darby did this body bag ball roll where he went into a body bag and rolled down the skateboard ramp. Kind of a weird segment. And yeah, the last time I saw Steve-O on a wrestling show, he was he was being beat up by Umaga, and he was laughing the whole time as he was getting beat up. So yeah, Steve-O is not exactly something that's going to make me be excited about what I'm watching. Like, if Steve-O's attached to it, I'm kind of like, meh. What were your thoughts on seeing Steve-O?
You know, it's funny you mentioned the Steve-O thing with Umaga. The fact that I think of that moment in the same vein of Pete Rose getting the stink face, that he was laughing during the whole thing, it's like, are we not professionals, guys? Come on. Like, if a big, scary wrestler's beating you up or, sticking his ass in your face and stinking, you need to sell it.
It's weird to me because I feel like Darby Allin's like a cult favorite. The internet loves the guy, and he was getting big reactions when we had crowds, but man, I just don't understand the Jackass segments. Like, maybe 20 years ago this would work, but when was the last time anybody talked about Jackass?
Yeah, I can't think of any time in the last at least 5 or 10 years I've seen any of them do anything. I think Johnny Knoxville had like a movie semi-recently, but yeah, Steve-O, like, he's out of the freaking left field somewhere. I haven't seen him on TV since Dylan's been alive, I don't think.
Oh, wow. All right, we had our main event, which was a fatal 4-way tag team match. The Butcher and the Blade versus the Dark Order versus Private Party versus the Young Bucks. We had FTR, the tag team champs, out on commentary, and they talked about how the Bucks can impress Dave Meltzer all they want. Second Dave Meltzer reference of the evening, but they do not have the talent. The Bucks don't have the talent that FTR has, and JR really emphasized that the Bucks really need a win here. Every team got a chance to shine in this match. It was good, but again, like that tournament, I'm sitting here thinking, well, it's obvious the Bucks are winning, just like it's obvious Paige and Omega are probably going to be in the finals. So it got tough for me to really get into the match, knowing that, hey, the Bucks are going to win. I'm just waiting for the end, and whatever they do is the follow-up. So Bucks did win, of course, with their they hit a pile driver and senton combo, but all the other teams ran in and broke it up. And then Cassidy got a near fall with an inside cradle, and then he went for another roll-up, but Matt reversed the roll-up and pinned Cassidy. So it wasn't actually the Meltzer driver that got the win for these guys. After the match, FTR came into the ring, and then all of a sudden, a timekeeper who was wearing a mask attacked the Bucks with a steel chair. They did a triple spike pile driver, and the guy unmasked to be Tully Blanchard.
Tully.
So, okay, why was Tully Blanchard in disguise? Why was that necessary?
Well, you had FTR on commentary playing the middle, like trying to say, they're going to be sportsmanlike, and they had to have their ace in the hole ringside to execute the plan. And the guys at ringside are wearing masks to, be COVID protocol, and Tully blended in perfectly.
And they went after Matsuni. Now, here's another thing that I'm confused about. All these weeks we had the Young Bucks acting like heels. They were super kicking everybody, attacking the announcers and whatnot, and now they're getting beat up, attacked, and injured. So they're basically baby faces again? Like, what's going on here? I don't understand this. Jeff, what's going on here?
Resetting the balance, Mr. Riff. They've had the Bucks be the dickheads to show that they're desperate men doing desperate things. But now they have the shot. FTR's like, okay, you want to try to be bad boys and try to, act naughty? Hold my beer.
All right, so are the Bucks baby faces again, or were they always shades of gray? Were they always tweeners? Like, what's the deal here?
Well, yeah, remember, I've known Matt and Nick forever, and I've worked against them, actually. They've always been shades of gray. It just depends on who they're working against. During this time of build-up to this match, they were, working the whole roster, trying to be assholes. And now that they've got the shot, they can be like, okay, well, we earned it, and now we can, do it the Young Bucks way. And FTR can just be the Arn and Tully-like antagonistic assholes.
All right, then. Whatever works, I suppose.
You could say the FTR thing was done in Horseman style tonight. Good stuff.
I mean, yeah, FTR are clearly heels. I'm just confused about the Bucks. I guess, like Michael Wayne says, they're anti-heroes. They're shades of gray.
Yes.
whatever.
Yes. And the thing is, we've had the anti-hero, since the advent of Steve Austin and the NWO, because Hall and Nash were the cool heels, and Steve was the cool heel who couldn't help but be turned babyface. So, it's been a thing in wrestling since the Attitude Era. It just, depends who picks up on it.
All right, so that was AEW this week. We'll do the letter grades, and then we'll talk about a few happenings from NXT. Show was good. I think it was better than the last couple weeks. I'm giving it a solid B. I definitely recommend checking out the Pentagon versus Rey Fenix match. That match was great. Jeff, what were your thoughts? Letter grade.
Definitely a B, solid B. Not quite a B plus, but definitely better than last week. Cindy was very clear on that on Twitter. She was like much better last week. I agree with her for the record. They seem to be getting the momentum back now that they're heading toward the pay-per-view. Now they've got the tournament underway. They've got the tag title contenders established. They've got Team Taz against Darby. They're starting to set things up going toward Full Gear. So they're trying to stabilize the process. Last week was kind of a train wreck, I'll be perfectly honest with you. And the week before was Jericho's thing, and it was all about Chris Jericho. That's what it was. So now they're back on course, and they did great tonight. Right.
Yeah. I see a comment about tweeners and all that, but I'll get to that in a second. Michael Wayne with a B-, Bruce Marvel with a B+, CC Drink with a B-, and Israel Diaz with a B-, Tyson with a B, and Mr. Heavy Metal Hero Dude with a B, and Nick Lavin with a B+. The only time I really liked a tweener character was Steve Austin when he kind of turned at WrestleMania, but he went out there and said, I'm not a good guy, I'm not a bad guy, I'm just Steve Austin. And, that worked. I think if the storyline is really compelling, it can work. But, man, I think a lot of times it's tough to pull off. And the whole Bucks thing is just confusing to me.
Well, you got to remember with Steve, when he turned heel after WrestleMania 17, they had to have him attack JR, and he still didn't turn him. He whooped JR's ass in Oklahoma, and people were like, okay, you just turned the Venom up. You're still Stone Cold Steve Austin. We don't care.
They had to drastically change his character to make it work. The idea was that when Austin first turned at WrestleMania 13, they wanted him to be a tweener by design. They didn't, they didn't want to ruin his character because they felt like if he became a babyface, then he would be like Hulk Hogan. Like they wanted to keep him as the anti-hero, so they wanted to make him the shade of gray.
Well, the thing is, it's one of those, Steve did what he had to do. He came back from the injury to take down whoever hit him or whoever took him out. And then once that was accomplished, which it was, he wanted the title back. He left not having been champion for over a year. So he did what he had to do. He worked with Vince to get the title off the Rock.
All right, let's talk about NXT here for a few minutes.
Okay.
There was a big happening in the main event, but before we get to that, we had a triple threat match with Kushida versus Tommaso Ciampa and Velveteen Dream. And I want to bring this up because Kushida pinned Ciampa to win this triple threat match, and I was a little surprised by that. I guess Kushida's continuing this big push. I figured when this match was announced that it was going to be Velveteen Dream taking the fall, right? So I was a little surprised Ciampa took the fall here. What are your thoughts on this push for Kushida?
Did anybody else catch that Kushida won a match on Back to the Future Day?
Oh, really?
Just saying.
I did not know that, Jeff.
I don't know if that's a geeky enough reference for Hunter to have pulled the trigger on, quite frankly, but it is Back to the Future Day today. So, and Kushida has that Marty McFly kind of appearance in his attire. So,
interesting.
Maybe that's all it was. But the fact that Ciampa took the fall, that is, I'm like questioning now because you're right. Dream should be taking the fall because Dream's in the doghouse. So, if Ciampa takes the fall, what are we going for here?
They're really trying to elevate Kushida.
I guess so, which is fine. I don't mind that at all. I like Kushida, so.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of the Back to the Future cosplay attire, but that's just me. I know you're a big Back to the Future guy, but I mean, I like.
Literally beyond when I get off the air here.
So, I like the movies. I just
okay.
I don't like when wrestlers cosplay as characters.
I got you. Oh, let me ask you this: being a Universal Horror Nights fan, did you ride Back to Future the ride when it was still in existence?
Yeah, good ride.
What do you think of the ride?
It was a good ride.
Okay, cool.
TJS sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, TJS. He says, Y2J and MJF copying KO and Y2J. Which duo story is better? Well, it's too soon to say.
Chris, by far.
Well, for now,
goodness.
I mean, this MJF Jericho storyline is just starting.
Right.
You got to give it time.
And you got to remember, that best friends thing with Owens and Jericho was built.
Oh, it was.
Built. And then when Owens pulled the trigger, it was like, no, Kevin, no!
This thing might go on for 6 months before they even have a match, too. So,
which is fine. I had no problem with that. Because it was funny because I remember when Kevin turned on Chris, and then they had the match of Mania that Vince didn't like.
Yeah. So
and it's like
that's something that they could make this a step above the Jericho and Owens feud. If they actually they have a really good storyline, and then they could better that match for sure.
Because you know what, MJF and Jericho have a great amount of technical skill and athletic skill, maybe even above Kevin Owens to a certain extent. So it could be something really good.
All right, so the other big story from NXT, we had our main event, which was for the tag team titles, and Dylan's being a very bad boy tonight. We have new tag team champions. Breezango defended against Danny Burch and One Lorcan. And we have new champs, and Pat McAfee is back, and he's aligned with Lorcan and Burch. So, Jeff, what were your thoughts on this match and the storyline and everything?
Well, I'm happy for Danny and Oni. I've liked those guys for a long time. I think they've been chasing the NXT tag titles for about 400 years at this point. So good on them. They won the damn titles for real. But with Pat McAfee helping them, no.
You were not sold on him after that TakeOver match?
No. Okay. The match stuff, yes, but I still dislike his attitude. I still think his attitude is crap.
You know, he's just working, yeah.
But you know what? I didn't like it when he's in the NFL. So you're not a sports guy, so you don't understand. Pat was a dick in the NFL too. So I just don't like the guy.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough then.
Yeah, I know the sports references on the NoDQ channel is not working. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, at least for me, it's like.
Right. Some of y'all in the chat room watching NFL, you've seen Pat McAfee. He's not the most fan-friendly person, at least from my point of view. So, but you know what? Like I said, I was impressed with his match against Cole. If he's going to be in the ring working and still developing, the heel side of his persona on TV, I'll be a good boy and wait and see what happens.
All right. Well, I think it's a good move. I'm glad he's back. After that TakeOver match, I was hoping we would see more of him, and we need something in NXT right now because for the past several weeks, I felt like NXT just hasn't been that big of a deal, and that's why I haven't been even attempting to do recaps of the shows, just because I haven't felt very motivated to talk about NXT. So they definitely need something here to get the ball rolling with NXT and generate some buzz for it. And we got Halloween Havoc next week, which should be a big show. So hopefully NXT can get back in the driver's seat here and get moving again and get some people talking about it, because they put on great shows. It's just it's lacked like any kind of real buzz lately.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I started out watching both shows till about the halfway through the first hour. I just couldn't. My brain couldn't process doing both of them, so I turned off NXT and watched AEW. So I was keeping tabs on NXT,
right?
But it's funny. Tyson in the chat room says Pat returns as soon as Adam Cole goes out with injury. Funny how that works,
right? So,
but as far as the match overall, I love Halloween Havoc. Bischoff on the podcast often talks about tentpole events. Halloween Havoc was one of their big events every year without fail. Halloween Havoc always seemed to deliver something spectacular, or something horrible at the end of the show. 98. So I like that they're bringing it back. I like to bring it back the wheel. I mentioned on either Greg's show this morning or during Rewind, if Candice gets some sort of match where there's going to be a potential hardcore thing involved, she needs to go full guerrilla warfare blood mask. Like, she needs to go full way and just do it, because she can pull it off. You and I both know how tough Candice LeRae is. She is a badass, and her and Io are going to have a great match next week.
Right.
And Gargano is going to have a great match with Damian Priest. So I look forward to both those matches and whatever Shotzi has in store for them on the wheel.
Right. And I'll probably recap the Halloween Havoc show next week, since it's a special edition of NXT. But anyways,
right.
Let's go ahead and wrap this up. Jeff, anything you would like to plug or promote? And I apologize, I still do not have your updated graphics, so I'll have to get them in time for the next stream.
Yeah, don't worry about putting them up at all if you don't have to. That's fine. JeffMeachamNetwork.com. It's very simple. It takes you to everything Jeff Meacham. And I did plug it twice today because I've been a plucky little beaver today. Friday on the Dads, not always on wrestling, JJ and I are doing our top 10 horror movies of all time, and it will be included a cameo from Andy Barkley and Jackie.
Very nice.
So.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the notifications for updates. And of course, stay tuned to NoDQ.com. Let me know if you want more Jeff on these Wednesday night videos. Maybe we can make it a regular thing. But yeah. I got to listen to your feedback and commentary. I mean, you got a great response the other week when you were on. So I was like, all right, you want to come back on? Let's do it.
I always enjoy being on. And just remember, if you like the show, we're Aaron and Jeff. If you didn't like it, we're Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez.
There you go. All right, guys. That's it for tonight. We'll be back for our predictions. We are going to do predictions because we were originally going to do a Tuesday night.
Right. So are we doing it tomorrow as a group, or what are we doing here?
We're doing it as a group.
Okay, because I've got people on my network side of things that want to do one, but if you want me to be on yours too, I got no problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, the plan is 7 p.m., 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 Eastern.
Okie dokie. I'll be there.
All right, sounds good. We only got 4 matches. That's why I wanted to wait, because it's going to be a very short video unless we get some more matches. This is so crazy. Like, why is WWE waiting to announce matches for this?
Well, the thing is, if they only announce 4 matches going into tomorrow, I can do my prediction show at 6 and yours at 7. So that's fine with me. So.
And Johnny Boy sent in a $5 super chat, says, which Hell in a Cell match are you most excited for? Ooh, good question there, Johnny Boy. Jeff, you go first.
I mean, we can go into detail more about it tomorrow, but honestly, the I Quit stipulation really intrigues me.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree with you. Like, Bayley and Sasha, I think will be a great match, and it's had an amazing storyline for the most part, but the Roman Reigns, Jey Uso stuff, to me, is the best thing in WWE right now. So I got to go with that.
And the thing is, with Sasha and Bayley, Greg and I have said it for weeks. They're doing it. They're not capitalizing on stuff. The money is right there, man. Have Bayley continue to avoid signing the contract and just piss Sasha off so much that she enters the Rumble out of pure spite, wins the damn thing, and then beats Bayley at Mania.
Well, I'm pretty sure they're doing the match. I don't think they're going to not have the match.
I understand that, and this is just me, armchair booking, like, please God, let it be something different. But, they're going to have a damn good match. And Sasha has yet to fail to deliver, has not failed to deliver. Sasha's always delivered in Hell in a Cell. God, I can't even talk. And she's faced the other 2 horsewomen. So Sasha's going to run the field now. So it's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm just curious, because they're doing 3 cell matches, how they're going to make each one different, That's always the problem, in my opinion, with doing 3 cell matches. Even 2 is a little bit overkill because, you can't have every match with the steel step spots and all that stuff. You got to do some different things. At least we got the I Quit stipulation with Reigns and Jimmy, and that'll be more story driven, I think, than anything else.
Yeah. It's we talk about this all the time. You and I in private or on panels or whatever. The gimmick matches are just too overexposed in the network era. There's too many cell matches. There's too many TLCs. The Money in the Bank is just wasted beyond belief. Like, oh my God, it's just bad. Greg and I were like breaking this down this morning. If you have Money in the Bank be part of WrestleMania again, just take the pay-per-view away and have one Money in the Bank at WrestleMania and the other one somewhere else. Yeah. Have that guy and gal be in the weeds the whole time, but have the Rumble winner challenge at Mania, have the King of the Ring challenge at SummerSlam, have some sort of program in the fall lather, rinse, repeat. It's formulaic. I get that, but it always worked. Right. Always.
I agree.
So,
but we'll talk more about Hell in a Cell on the predictions video. Hopefully, we'll have more than 4 matches. But at this point, I don't even know. Like, I feel they'll announce matches on Saturday or Sunday, a couple hours before the show. Oh, by the way, we got 3 new matches for Hell in a Cell announced.
But you know what? If they don't, both sides will get great traffic tomorrow, so it's okay.
Good point. Yeah. All right, guys, that's all we got for tonight. We will be back for the predictions and then Friday night SmackDown. And I might be covering Bound for Glory. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do it or not, but I might do it.
Bound for Glory this weekend?
Yeah, Saturday.
Oh, cool.
You did not know that? Wow.
Nope, had no idea. No idea.
It's this Saturday, Impact Wrestling's biggest show of the year.
My close tie with Impact is not with the company right now. He's kind of on hiatus, so I really don't give a shit.
Oh, well. Hey, he might show up. You never know.
I hope he does, because he's been, telling people, don't believe everything you read on the internet. Gee, I wonder why he says that. He's not gone. He's just not there right now. And him and Katie have different deals. We need to keep that clear. So.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay positive and be safe. Take care.